Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you in another video. All right, so have I changed my mind any on Zach LaVine in regards to him coming to the Lakers? There's a lot of chatter going on about Zach LaVine possibly being somebody the Lakers would be willing to target. And my thinking in regards to that initially has always been I didn't think Zach LaVine was the contract. The contract was the most important part of that the Lakers should be looking to add to what it is that they have going on right now. We would be even slimmer in regards to our uh, situation long term. In regards to having a guy like, for example, $47 million worth of one player in Russell Westbrook now turns into like 5 years of a $35 million player in um, Zach LaVine. So you could see paths towards your team being marginally worse or slightly better or just as good as this team because of how difficult it would be to get other pieces and re-sign guys, etc. So my thing is, I'd rather have flexibility, build the team that I want, and then if I want to go after a Zach LaVine contract after all that's in place, I feel like I have a foundation that can hold its weight for having a contract like that on it. But what we got going on with Anthony Davis, LeBron James being injury prone, Zach LaVine being injury prone, everybody else being on minimal contracts, kind of being iffy, hoping they pop, but not really expecting them to be that great. That kind of stuff is just like, nah, we don't need to do that. We don't, because you leave yourself no room to get lucky. You leave yourself very little room to have room for error, stuff like that. Puts a lot of pressure on the coach to perform well. It's just not necessary to do that, especially when you already should, in theory, have enough. Anthony Davis and LeBron James have won a championship when it was only them two and a bunch of other stuff that balanced out the cap. If we don't do it that way, then essentially what we're doing is leaning against what has been proven to work for us. So we need to understand that. It's the only way it's ever worked. Every time we try to do it this way, we end up finding ourselves wanting out of it. So Zach LaVine is not to me, he's not a better player than Russell Westbrook historically. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. He has different strengths and different weaknesses than Russell Westbrook, but I don't expect he's going to play as many games as Russell, so he's more durable. And as I said, the thing about Russell for me was that I didn't like the fact that he couldn't defend when he first got here. Well, he's been a great defender. Our issues haven't been on the defensive side. He's defended very well for us in situations where we didn't have anybody else to put on some of the people he guarded. So that's obsolete. So now it's like, all right, it's chemistry issues. I don't know if he's going to play well or not play well. Is he going to cost me at the end of games with his nonsensical decision making? Well, guess what? I got the same question about Zach LaVine. That's my problem with Zach LaVine. I don't think he has the greatest basketball IQ. I think he's a phenomenal weapon, and I think he's an all-world athlete. But as far as being a basketball mind, I think he needs a lot of coaching, and I don't think he's $35 million worth of superstar. Now, like I said, for production-wise, just like Russell Westbrook, he's going to provide the production that makes you say, oh, that's a high-level talent. But you put the ball in his hands in certain situations, he ain't going to do stuff that's going to make people better. Like the stuff that we're going to see Tyrese Halliburton do tonight, Laker fans, he ain't going to be doing all that. He's a deterrent to a lot of that a lot of the times when I watch him play. If anything, he's taking shots you don't want to. He's going to make a lot of shots, and he's going to electrify the crowd. But it's sort of like Julius used to do. Julius would do all of that, and then on some nights you're like, bro, would you just do something that makes us happy about what you're doing? Same thing with Russell. It's like, bro, would you do something that really is going to help us instead of just whatever you're going to do to chase your stats? I don't know that Zach LaVine's a stat chaser. But what I'm telling you is the bulk of what he's going to do is in his athleticism and his mechanics. And so if you don't direct him properly, it's going to be like, to me, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to mean this in this way, it's going to be like Kendrick Nunn, but on a much higher level. You know what I mean? He's going to play way better than Kendrick Nunn, but it's going to be some of the same problems. It's going to be like, okay, could you take better shots, please? All right, would you pass the ball to that person right now? All right, could you get out there and defend? Like, those are the things we're going to find ourselves screaming at the TV at a guy that was making $35 million a year. And his contract's just starting. So for me, it's like Darvin Ham's going to have a lot of patience with Zach LaVine. And then he's going to have to surround Zach LaVine with stuff that's going to help make up for what it is he's not going to do. And then we're going to live and die with him because he's going to make so much money. He's going to be so important. So you're just going to give him 25 shots a game. You're going to live with that. A lot of games, you're going to blow teams out. And with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, you probably should win upwards of 60 games next season if everybody stays healthy. Is it a good bet that they stay healthy? Hell no. You don't expect none of those people to stay healthy. So that's where it becomes a problem. You leaning on 3 people you don't expect to stay healthy, and one of them potentially has basketball IQ issues. Ain't that what we got right now, minus the third person having health issues? You see what I'm saying? It's like, nah, that's even worse than what we got right now. So I've grown to appreciate Zach LaVine's production level because he's been giving you a lot of assists. He's obviously an elite 3-point shooter. He's obviously an elite athlete, and the scoring is up. So I'm seeing he's putting up 30 and 8 assists, 30 and 10 assists. He's putting up a scoring and assist numbers that I don't think I've seen him put up assist numbers like this in a while. He did in his rookie season, which is why I realized he had some pop in his second year with Minnesota. But after he had that knee injury, came back not as much of an assist guy, not as much of a team facilitator. So he's starting to work that into his equation, and I hope that means he's gaining some ground in that area. But for me, it's just like, you just got to know why you're paying for a guy. That's the thing. You got to know why you're paying for a guy. A guy like Russell Westbrook taught us this lesson. Russell Westbrook is absolutely elite, but you have to put him in at the right times in the game, and you have to roll the dice and be right in regards to whether or not it's the right time to play him at the end of games. And that is an impossible way to strategize when you have a player making up that much of your cap and is that important to what you do. You're going to live and die with his mistakes, and it's a roll of the dice. And now you're going to get rid of an expiring contract with a guy attached like that and bring in another guy like that on a 4 or 5 year deal. Oh, no. No. Hell no. So that's where I'm at with that, man. I'm not sure where I would put Zach LaVine in this league. I don't know. He's certainly worth $35 million based on the production that he'll give you every time he's out there. He's going to be a star. But is he going to help me win? Or do I need other people to put the ball in their hands at the end of games so that we can secure our victories? Because he can do all that stuff through 3 quarters, but if it come down to the last minute, is he going to do something that I don't appreciate? And so that's my thing, man. I'm not putting $35 million a year on somebody like that, especially in this particular situation when you got those other 2 stars that are counting on being able to win. Now, in this case, you may say, well, Brandon, the ball's going to go in Bron's hands. But what I'm telling you is, if we're not bringing in that 3rd star with the intention of him not doing things that Bron does when Bron ain't there and winning games that we need to be able to win when Bron ain't there, then it's going to be a problem. And Zach is going to put up the stats. But is he going to win us games when AD and Bron ain't there? And the answer is, nah. Not when the rest of the team is Troy Brown. This is not going to work. That's not enough. So what you're going to want to do is turn Zach LaVine into a bunch of pieces. That's exactly what you're going to want to do. And you're going to find yourself wanting to trade him very soon, if not next summer. So why would you trade for a guy that you're just going to turn around and try to trade away from? Only to find out that his contract is not going to be as desirable at all, because now we would have been traded twice. Nah, you don't want that. Leave that thing in Chicago. That's where he signed it. That's where he needs to play. Make them move DeRozan, if that's the problem, which I understand it is the problem. Because there's no way you can make his contract desirable to me. That's a problem, Chicago. You can dumb it down and say, oh, we'll only take Russell Westbrook in 1 pick. I don't want you to take anything from me in regards to that contract. I want you to pay me for that contract, as I've said in the previous videos. Zach LaVine is not a salary dump, but for what it is, the risk that he's going to be for me, it's a negative asset. For the risk that it is based on how we're built, but based on what it is that we're giving up, given the fact that he's the only 2 tradable picks that we got, Russell Westbrook is a piece that we're using, and we would be giving up Max Christie as well as a young player I have no interest in trading at all. You try to tell me I'm going to be trading that, bringing back Lonzo Ball, who may not ever play again. Some other guy that's a young player, and then Zach LaVine's horrific contract. And you're not giving me no picks? And I'm supposed to want all that? And mind you, Lonzo Ball's contract is horrible too. Mind you that. So it's like they're not going to even take into account that there should be something to represent that contract being a salary dump on top of Zach LaVine's contract, which is supposed to be desirable, even though I know it's not. So all this looks like trash to me. But then I bring to you the understanding that this was an ESPN proposed deal. They, from within one of their talents, decided that this was something that they wanted to present to the world, and that's why it's gaining traction. A lot of times I think that stuff is funneled to those guys by way of one position or another to get things done. And so for me, I respond in kind by saying, that's not in our best interest. It's not. It looks like it would be in our best interest if we were casual. It would look like it's in our best interest if we were built a different way, based on the price tag that would be going out. But what I'm telling you is what we're bringing back, ultimately, is probably going to be worse off for us. That's what I know, based on how many years on his contract and what I actually think of him as a player that would be remaining healthy. He's injury prone, man. He's going to play about 65 games a good season, 65 games. I can't do nothing with that. Especially when a good portion of those games, I'm going to be sitting there saying, Zach, do something other than what you're doing. No. We ain't signing up for that. So that's where I'm at, man. Nothing's changed. I want my team to stay far away from that Zach LaVine contract. I understand how much Clutch would love to have him. I know how souped up our team could potentially be if we bring him in for this season. But it's not about this season when you bring in a contract of $35 million with 5 years. And you sit down with LeBron James and Anthony Davis and you explain to them that. Like, yeah, he can make your team super great right now, but he's going to lock us up to sure we're going to be playing with Damian Joneses and JTAs for the next 4 years, bro. That's what his contract going to do to you. You don't want that? So, yeah, no, we would rather not soup ourselves all the way up to be good for like 5 more minutes and then suck for the next 4 years because of this. It's not worth it. Especially when I don't think Zach LaVine's going to help us beat the Memphis Grizzlies, Boston Celtics, the Denver Nuggets, none of that. I don't think he moves the needle in that way. And I'm going to say something else as well. I'm looking at a piece like Lonnie Walker, right? And he's on our team and he doesn't play much defense, but he gives us a lot of offense at the shooting guard position. Isn't that exactly what Zach LaVine is? Just a much better version of that? Isn't that the same thing? And you're telling me you're going to send out a $5 million piece that's expiring and you're going to bring back a $135 million piece for for 5 years that does the same stuff? Just a little better? I need experts to tell me that Lonnie Walker ain't just a poor man's version of Zach LaVine anyway. Ain't he that? Am I wrong? Don't they have the same strengths and weaknesses? So for me, I think I already got Zach LaVine light here right now. I don't need to overpay for the same strengths and weaknesses just because they're a little better. You're going to hit 4 more threes on a regular night basis or dunk 4 more times. I mean, the difference in pay, that's crazy. For what it is he's going to be doing versus what it is Lonnie's already doing, it's crazy. So no, I'm not doing that, man. I'm not doing that. I think Zach LaVine is going to find himself a home somewhere. I think the Chicago Bulls will probably be wise to just keep his contract and let go of all that other stuff. Good luck getting rid of Lonzo Ball. I'm a Lonzo fan, but there ain't nothing you can do to make me pay for a guy that's never going to play. Okay? My man's he can't even barely move. He's still feeling pain in that knee. So as far as I can tell, he can't help us this year. And if I'm strategizing properly for Lonzo, he ain't playing next year either. He's not. I'm telling you right now. And that's another thing I'm telling you. If I'm a Laker and I'm bringing Lonzo to me, that's exactly what's happening. He ain't playing this season and he ain't playing next season. Because I know how much of a career he has left in him. And he's going to have to get healthy, re-examine his entire body, and then get in shape from there. Okay, so he ain't playing this season or next season if they know what they're doing. If they're thinking about the long-term ramifications of his career, you ain't seeing that boy till 2024, 2025 season. So ain't nobody trading for that. Chicago, I'm sorry. You guys did something stupid when you signed Zach LaVine to that contract, knowing damn well you had just signed DeMar DeRozan, and them 2 pieces are not going to lead you to no championship. These are poison pills that teams sign themselves up for, and then expect other teams that are that are in lesser situations come bail them out of it. Minnesota's about to do the exact same thing with either Rudy Gobert or Karl Anthony Towns. I'm telling you right now, they have to trade one of those 2 centers. It ain't no if, ain't no maybe, how long, none of that. They must trade one of those 2 centers in order to keep themselves from falling off a cliff with their cap situation. When Rudy Gobert finds himself being a lesser player, which is about 5 minutes away, they ain't going to have no chance of being able to recoup any of what they let go of for him. And they need to. So this is going to get real interesting over there in Minnesota. And if they happen to pull off a blockbuster that sends Karl Anthony Towns somewhere, do not be surprised. Because if they're smart, they will try to figure out how fast they can get out from under the cap situation they're in. The sooner they get out of it, the less of a headache it'll be. If they can get the same return for Karl Anthony Towns that they got for Rudy Gobert, they might be able to save themselves a little bit. But if they don't, I don't know. Well, first of all, Anthony Edwards is likely going to take his bag. He gonna take his bag from Minnesota, but he ain't gonna win a thing there. And his teammates are gonna be trash. He gonna be asking them to trade people left and right, and before that contract's over, he's gonna want out of there. That is the path they're on. Not much different than Zach LaVine's. He's going to sign the contract, and he's going to get the hell out of there because the situation's going to be even worse in Chicago. I see it coming. Some things you can just see coming. And I think these owners and these GMs see it coming too. And a lot of them ain't going to tell you they're sellers right now because they don't want it. They don't want to admit it. They don't know it. A lot of these GMs are stupid still. They about to run into the wall that I'm telling you they're about to run into. I don't know. But some of these teams need to make moves, man, and they're probably not going to. A team like the Brooklyn Nets, they need to trade Kyrie Irving. They're probably not going to re-sign him. You know what I mean? These are things. And I think most of these teams, if I'm a betting man, they probably ain't going to do nothing. Because a lot of these teams make mistakes, man. They really do. They commit to these mistakes for reasons that I don't understand. But they're going to suck. And it looks away on paper ahead of time, but they're going to see it through. And that's what I'm here to tell you. Minnesota must trade one of those two dudes. And it's got to be Carl because ain't nobody going to trade for Rudy. Ain't nobody going to trade for Rudy. So keep an eye on that. Yeah, man, these are things that I just know. I just know it, man. And at the end of the day, if these teams don't move, they're going to lose some of these guys. I looked at some of these free agents that are going to be coming up next year, the free agency pool. I'm going to say something, and I think a lot of people probably agree with me that they're not going to articulate it this way. The free agency pool, half of the free agency pool is guys that you don't really know if they're going to actually get any jobs. Some of them dudes are the dudes that need to go. Seriously. Like the guy, these are the names. You know what I'm saying? These names of guys that have been in the league for 12 years, average 5 points. These are the guys. A lot of them are up to be re-signed right now. They shouldn't be. Some of them shouldn't be, y'all. Some of these dudes need to be in China. They need to be gone. I'm telling you, it's time for some of them dudes that they're allowing to be in the G League to come up and take those guys' spots. I wouldn't even be signing any of those guys. I wouldn't. If I had a free agency pool, I saw about 30 names I was interested in out of like 70 names. About 30 of them. The rest of them dudes, out. Because that's the problem with your league right now. You got too many of these guys that don't really have a whole lot of upside or talent landing on these rosters. And then everybody wants to overprice everything. And these dudes can't play. So now they get attached to these bad contracts that teams have trouble moving. And then they want people to, do different things, overpay for certain things because the rest of their talent will never make up for what it is they're leaving on the table. You don't leave nothing on the table when you develop your own. When you grab a guy that doesn't have a name and you make him one. I'm telling you, this is the answer to all of their problems. But they want to keep on signing these DJ Augustines. No disrespect. But it is what it is. They just want to keep recycling these names because it's easy for them. And I'm telling you, this is why they're in the trouble they're in. Those guys don't equal nothing. They don't add up to no money at all. So I've been trying to get into the heads of everybody who watches me. You want pieces that you can re-trade. And then at that time, when you've developed the pieces that everybody's afraid to develop, and when you develop the bust that everybody said can't play, when you get your scouts on the job and your development coaches on the job to do what it is that they're paid to do and get these guys to a good level, I'm telling you, you'll have your retradable pieces. You'll find something out of nothing. You'll make the money that comes from cash considerations that are acquired from selling second-round picks. This is the money. It's in them dudes that y'all don't want to give a chance to because you're too busy signing these Jay Crowders. Stop. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Them guys can go to China. They can get a bigger bag over there anyway and more playing time regardless. Bring in the youngsters that can actually do something for you, and we'll have an entirely better league for it. I promise. Entirely better league. Why? Because it'll be easier to move those players on the back of those benches if more teams do what it is that I'm saying, because you can trade the guys that you develop for those guys. That's how you do it. Stop letting the G League have all the best young talent and they're wearing their legs out down there playing against lesser guys when they could be playing against the real guys up here. When you got lesser guys who need to develop or who need to get the hell out of here playing the roles, and they can't play against these bigger guys that are actually really talented. So you soup their numbers up, say they're the greatest thing in the world, when half the dudes that would actually be able to guard them are in the damn G League. But I'm not supposed to see that, though. Anyway, enough. That's what I got to say, man. That's my NBA chat video for the morning. I always try to give you guys a little Laker chat video as well, but lately I just felt like these conversations are not just Laker-centric. All of you teams need to understand this, because at the end of the day, all of you are teams that the Lakers want to make trades with. And we can't make trades with y'all because y'all giving Doug McDermott bad contracts. Ain't nobody trading for that. So now I can't get the players I want to get off my team, because what you got is trash. That is a problem for me. BDO44, thank you all for watching.